Hello, Illumineers, and welcome to Let's Talk Lorcana, your weekly Monday night live show where we talk about all things Lorcana. My name is Brandon, also known as B-Squared24. I'm your co-host this evening, and I'm joined by Liam from the Illumiteers.
Hey!
Hi!
Hi, live chat.
Hi, live chat. There's a lot of you guys in here already.
Yeah, look at that. A lot of our favorite people, and Matt, a Patreon supporter, and Mandy, a Patreon supporter. Look at that. J-Bomb, another. Look, hi everyone.
Hi, so everyone. Many people.
What makes Monday nights fun? Yeah. Well, how was your week, Brandon?
It was good. I was out of town this weekend. I traveled up to Arkansas to meet some friends. We played Lorcana for a really long time, practicing some different things that might or might not have to do with Worlds, Worlds prep. So that was really fun. Came home yesterday and been playing catch up ever since then. What about you, Liam?
The weekend was such a blur and took so much attention. I don't even think I remember what happened last week. There was a Lorecast.
Yes. I missed the entire Lorecast. I had a work thing, so I didn't see it.
It's tough. I try to catch up on them because I can't usually watch them live as well. But I try to get some of the news afterwards. But I love that they're there, and when I do tune in, like they do a fantastic job. So that's really fun.
Definitely.
And then this weekend, I traveled as well. I had a bit of those who follow our Instagram saw a bit of my journey. I'd scheduled it to not miss any work, and so I left the tournament in Wisconsin that I was at late, and then to get back here around like midnight. I would have gotten to bed about 1, which is standard content creator hours for me. And so this is how it started. It was like, okay, it was landed at 11:54, now at 2:14, and then it was 3:16, and then it was okay. Now you're arriving at 3:57, and then it was okay. Now 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, and I was like, oh. So then I spent the night on the floor of the airport with my pink jacket as my blanket.
That looks very comfortable.
It was a thing that I did. Airport's cold at night. So
yeah, I can imagine. Luckily I've never had to stay overnight in an airport. I think I've had some really close calls, but it doesn't seem fun. I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of surprised when I saw that your flight had gotten delayed by so much. I was low-key expecting you to like have to push the show back because I don't know if I could have made it personally with that kind of travel.
I'm on fumes, so but that's okay. What happens is, I line up, or we get some guests lined up, that we're excited to talk to, and I don't know, I don't want to bump it. But sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. I don't know. But so that was the weekend. I was didn't get to play any Lorcana, but I got to watch a lot of Lorcana up at World Class Cards, working with 20 Lore Pro to watch one of the things we're going to talk about tonight, which is the first, I think the first ever triple deck constructed Lorcana tournament.
As far as I know, like publicly and especially documented in any kind of way, which I was excited for. Like, I'll be honest, I expect a lot of the Worlds players to be testing, within that format sort of privately. But I was kind of surprised to see any sort of tournament or coverage for that format prior to Worlds, or really outside of Worlds?
Yeah, it's really fascinating. I am actually surprised that we did, because it's a really quick reaction time from the announcement, and it's a pretty high barrier to entry for players to ask them to have the card pool to bring in 3 decks like that. And families, like, man, if you want to bring 2 people,
Yeah.
good
Yeah,
luck.
like we laugh about it pretty regularly at League, where there's a lot of people that show up and play with their partners. And they always talk about how difficult it is to play Disney Lorcana with a partner, because you either have to, it feels like you either have to have 8 of every card so that both of you can play whatever you want, or you each get to choose something and the other one can't play the other 2 inks. And obviously in like a Worlds format where you have to play all the inks, that doesn't work. So
Yep. We've got 4 Rapunzels, so only one.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Unless you're a goblin and have all the cards, yes. Ed Chu saying, yeah, quite an expensive endeavor to play triple deck. Certainly is, especially if you're gonna, try different decks and make adjustments and stuff. So, anyway, so super excited that we got to see it. I can't make this comment go away. No. We just may be looking at Ed's comment all night. Oh, there it goes. No, yeah. So super excited to see it. Thanks to World Class Cards for putting it on, and we'll dive way into it in a little bit when we bring our first guest. But I will say that I'm going to appreciate it so much more now, having seen it, when I see it in Worlds, than if we'd gone into it without the community having a taste of it. I think, because it's fascinating.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. It's a good first look at kind of what to expect, and kind of the craziness that comes with the format, being able to, having to bring and represent all 6 ink colors, but also being able to ban certain colors out of a format, and sort of building your decks around that strategy.
Yeah, it's wild. Before, okay, this is like a whole like 45-minute conversation. And I'm trying to do all the pleasantries up front before we like get sucked in, but we're about to get sucked in. I do want to, before we do that, I do want to give a shout out, because I see a bunch of people in the chat. One of the things that I like, and I know that we all enjoy about traveling to like different tournaments, different challenges, is getting to experience different parts of the Lorcana community. And I've been to Florida a couple times and like plugged into the locals down there. There's a bunch of folks who run around there. I've always been to Austin and met the community here. I'm super jealous, like when you got to go to like Arkansas for like Lucky Llama and get to experience that community. Getting to go to Wisconsin and experience like the Minnesota, Chicago at like communities coming into that was a ton of fun. Lot of fun, a lot of people that I recognize, a lot of community members. Lorcana Twins was there. I see them in the chat. They both performed excellently, and it was a ton of fun catching up with them. Castro from Aladdin's Castle, is there. Of course, J-Bomb, Kendall, just a whole, and I'm leaving a whole bunch of people out, but a whole plethora of folks that we know. And then they all roll pretty deep. They all know each other. They travel well together, and all of the like Chicago and Minnesota people in the stream like cheering each other on. It was a ton of fun, and a really fun community vibe. So shout out to those communities. You all are pretty awesome. Yeah, and Bears fan in the chat. Yeah, there we go. J-Bomb saying, pointing out the Emerald Ruby deck I played against in the top 8 day 1 was about $30. Budget deck.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, all right. Should we dive in a little bit to triple deck, I guess?
Yeah, if we want to. I'm excited to talk about it. I think there's some fun stuff to learn, and I'd like to hear from some of the people that were there, sort of what they think about the format.
Yeah, if you did play, and we see some people in the chat who were there, J-Bomb and some others, like give us your observations throughout in the chat. And if you weren't there but have thoughts, obviously share them as well. But for people who weren't there, I'm also interested, knowing what you know now, having seen the event or maybe not, what color pair would you bring to this event, or an event like this? I'm super fascinated by by people's decisions there. So, I to give a few of my thoughts before we bring in guests and like so give them space to talk. Well, a lot of thoughts, but a few right up front. One is I was aware of this, but like seeing it in action is different. The cognitive load that this type of event requires is like exponentially greater than a normal Lorcana event.
Yeah.
And I love my favorite time to go out in the main room was when people were looking at each other's 3 decks. So actually, do you want to, for just in case people aren't aware, do you want to like cue us up and explain the format before we dive in? Yeah.
Sure. So the way that the Worlds format works is each player has to bring 3 different decks, and within those 3 decks, every ink color has to be represented. So if you're playing Amber and Amethyst, then you have to play, and you could play like Amber, Amethyst, Ruby, Emerald, and Sapphire, Steel. Just as long as every ink color is represented throughout the decks, you can't have any duplicates. So you can't bring like Amber Steel and Amber Emerald, for example. So you have your 3 decks, and then what happens is, and correct me if I'm wrong about this, Liam, but when you face against somebody, at least in the like Swiss rounds of the tournament up until the finals, you both get to look through all 3 of each other's decks before you decide who goes first, before anything happens. You get to view each other's deck lists. After you view each other's deck list, I don't remember if they roll first to see who goes first, or I think the ban I'm gonna have to stop saying ban.
Mm-hmm.
You bench one of the opponent's decks out of the 3 after looking at them. I believe both players blindly pick which deck to ban, or like not ban, bench,
Yeah.
but they keep it hidden from each other, and then they reveal it at the same time. So it's not like I get to see what you bench and then I get to decide what to bench after that. You both bench at the same time, essentially. And then after that, I believe you figure out who goes first by randomization, usually through a dice roll, and then you pick which deck you're going to play on the play for your first game, and then your opponent gets to pick. And then you essentially have to win a game with each of your decks. So once you win a game with the first deck that you picked, then you can't use that deck anymore. You have to use the second deck that wasn't benched. The opponent can use the same deck that they just used, or they can use their other deck if they want to. I believe they don't have to keep playing the same one. But you essentially play until one of the players have won with both of their decks, essentially. Okay, so it looks like roll, bench, and then start the game is what I'm hearing from some Worlds players in the chat. So I got it backwards. You roll first, then you bench decks, and then you start the game.
Yeah, that was I honestly I was there the whole time, and I also second guessed myself on where the roll occurred as you were explaining it. So
yeah.
But yeah, so a couple players had a ton of questions, obviously, when they were explaining these rules and wanted to iron some things out. A couple nuances. One is one of the first questions was, hey, can I know we don't use electronic devices during play. Can I get on my phone and access, card information during the deck review phase? Mm-hmm. And in this tournament, I'm not sure how they're going to do Worlds, but at this tournament, they definitely allowed that so that players had a chance to, familiarize themselves with unfamiliar cards, because there were a lot.
I'm sure.
A lot. So a lot of phones out. And the other thing, it was a really fun vibe, because even though it was for a lot of money, I saw more than once where players were sitting there and somebody's like, hey, can you tell me what this card does? And the other player, like the opponent, instead of being like, no, you figure it out, like told them.
Yeah.
But the one nuance there, when I talk about cognitive load, it's one thing to look up an unfamiliar card or two and figure out how that fits into a known deck or archetype. It is something completely different to get an entire deck of new cards that you're not familiar with and to try to piece together that deck script, what it's trying to do, and then how you match into it.
Yeah.
That's a lot to ask of even some of the best players in 10 minutes, especially if you have more than one of those decks. And so watching players try to puzzle through that was fascinating. The other question that people asked and that we had to iron out pretty quick was, when you reveal your deck that you're playing, or do you reveal to your opponent the deck that you're playing first round? Like, is it you pick your deck and then you go in blind, or do you tell your opponent which deck you're playing at the same time? And the answer was, you reveal which deck you're playing. And so when you're revealing them at the same time, but when you go into that round, you're not going in blind. You know which of the two decks you're playing, which is how they ran this.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm eager to see for Worlds is part of that. Like you mentioned that it's there were a lot of new cards and sort of strategies that were brought into this tournament, and we'll see that when we get to look at talk about some of the different ink pairings people decided to bring. But you really open up a lot of different strategies when you can say, like, I no longer have to care about Ruby, or I no longer have to care about Steel, or whatever other deck it is. Those are ink that is. Those are the two most popular ones that I hear, because they're the two inks that have the most removal. But there's a lot of strategies that kind of fall dead in the global meta because every ink is represented. But if you're able to say, hey, I can play Lorcana without having to worry about Whole New World or Beyond the Horizon or Be Prepared or whatever, you can start playing with cards that you've never played with before and strategies that wouldn't normally work.
And oh boy, did they. It was wild. But it's a great point. And it really, it takes the deck building phase, and you can like do, it's so much more complicated. I do, before we dig in a little bit more, there's so many questions in the chat. I will address this one real quick. The way they did it at the tournament is they used deck lists. They put a blank piece of paper over them, and then they flipped them over and revealed at the same time. The way I think I would love to see this done is with ink tokens of some kind, where you have an ink color, because you don't have to reveal a pair, you just have to reveal one. So each player like getting that color token and then revealing that at the same time would be good. But that's how you do that. Okay, but before we do that, I'd like to bring in somebody who's going to hang out with us for tonight, which I'm really excited about. You may know him. He is on a quest, and he's on a quest with us to the World Championship here in a couple weeks. Can't wait to hang out with him there, and I can't wait to hang out with him tonight. It's JDZ Quest.
Yo,
what's up?
Greetings and salutations, my fellow cohorts. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Excellent.
Yeah. I'm here right now. Sorry, I'm still actively streaming right now. I'm about to send the raid in right here.
Nice.
Live.
Hello.
So you guys have been live this whole time on my own stream, and it's like a combined effort. A nice medley of friendship out here.
Yeah.
So now we're all going to join forces again together here into the Illuminateer world and get it in. So there it is. There we go. Boom. Wow. Hey guys, make sure you hit the follow button if you haven't followed already, and let's join in. Let's lock in. Let's get laser focused right there. The raid is complete. Okay. Sorry I had a smaller stream today, but it is what it is.
Well, usually, well, that's all right. Usually I have to be like, thanks Raiders and shout out the stream, but I can do it right here. Thanks for the raid.
Look at that.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is.
Look at all these fans in the chat. Oh my goodness.
No. That's the crew. We got a chance to play some Turner Dogs today, and I know you had a good weekend. I'll get to you, Liam. But how was your weekend, Mr. B Square? Did you get your Lorcana on? Did you play somewhere? Did you do something?
It was great. I don't want to give away too many details because it's not my details to give away. But all I'll say is I was in a room with about 5 other guys at one point, and we played Lorcana for I think like 11 hours straight. So it was a pretty successful weekend for me. If you ask me, that sounds like a pretty great weekend.
A little bit of testing. I see, getting on the inside track. Okay. Yes. I see you out there. Must have been a good time. I had a good time as well. I was out in Baltimore for the Ink invitation.
I heard. How was it out there?
I loved it, man. I loved it. I'm trying to tell you right now, like a lot of people talk about the game. We're always talking about the cards and the strategy and the tactics and the set releases and all the cool things that happen. But I'm telling you, it's something about being around the people, like the people that were there. And it was a pretty sizable tournament. And the venue was so beautiful. These old, mid-Atlantic buildings with the bricks and the seaside stuff. The aesthetics were nice. Huge, beautiful venue. And the people there was so amazing. It was magic, man. Words can't describe. You guys know the feeling. I'm sure.
Yeah.
We need more.
I was just saying this, before you joined. I love going to like LGSs or different parts of the country and plugging into other communities. There's something really fun when you go to a store and like you hear people using their nicknames, or you're talking to somebody and somebody else walks by and you're like, better watch out for him, Ruby Sapphire, he will crush you. Or at this event there was a young player, 7 years old, Kaylee, who's like one of the best Lorcana players I've ever seen. And all day Saturday they're like, oh, Kaylee's coming from Chicago, watch out, she's gonna be here tomorrow, crushing people. And so like plugging into those inside jokes and those reputations and all that, and getting to experience other people's like communities is just it's kind of magical.
It's good. I love it. I had I had a blast. I had a blast. I had a good time. I got to end. Oh, my stream is still going. I got to end my own stream. There it is. My own stream's over. Okay, cool.
Multi-streaming. There's a function where we can join.
Well, I've tried it. I don't know if it works. It doesn't work. It doesn't work too well most of the time, but still, it's pretty chill.
This is great. Yeah, so that's awesome. So we do. I'm really excited to bring in, actually, later on in the show. We're going to bring on one of the players from that tournament, a player who did pretty well. And I can't wait to hear later on your description of that event and how that went, kind of the standard core constructed, and I'm really excited.
And I was listening in the green room. You guys were talking about triple deck format, and I know we were talking offline before this happened. I'm interested to hear what you have to say about that, because there's a lot of lessons learned. I know for a fact, and I just mentioned this on my stream as well, the world's players were watching that event with great intent, because just to see, granted, it's a sample size of what is to be expected at the World Championship. But maybe there's some lessons learned, and maybe what people were banning, what people were taking away. I know there's not a lot of news and information coming from there, but you were there, and I'm sure you could paint a good picture of what is potentially to be expected in the World Tournament here in about 3 weeks.
Oh dear. Ed, is that true? Were you watching, gleaning information? I mean, I could talk about this for like an hour straight with all of my thoughts, because I'm still sorting through them. But I will give just like one or two initial thoughts, and then we're, I think, bring in our first guest and actually ask them, ask him his experience with it, because he played it and won it, actually. But the first overarching thing I was talking about before, like the cognitive load, is like incredible that it takes to sit down and run through this event. And not only, the deck building phase, the ban phase, learning your opponent's deck list, but then even, if you lose the first round, you have to you're setting the trajectory for the entire rest of the match for the losing player, depending on which deck you choose, to play into in the second round. It's all crazy. But the other piece is this meta is so different and is so wild. It is nowhere near, like, it would take a full season of this to figure out the right answer. And what we saw was just people dipping their toes in. And
I know.
Different.
And I saw some we did see some racers in there. We saw some I saw some giant kaiju Mickey in there. We saw like a lot of aggro, like hyper aggro. Like if you come in on the play, and because that also comes into effect, like you said, just like the play draw dynamics become so much more pronounced. So if I know that I'm going to be going first, and I know for a fact that you don't have a Sisu because I've banned Ruby, or if you don't have these steel cards because I've banned steel, what's beating Daisy, Lady, all this? What's beating that? Literally nothing. So you can put yourself in those types of situations to where it's, I don't know. I saw that R&B comment. What did he say? I'm never going to forgive that. I told him I forgave him, but I'm lying. Okay, I did not forgive R&B for not coming to the Inking. Unforgivable.
Bald bullying. So I really want to talk about that, but I need to stop because
sorry.
No. I do want to talk about it so badly, but I want to bring in our guest, who I've left in the green room for too long. So the tournament obviously was a lot of fun. There were two different tournaments, actually. There was one run on Saturday, and they ran it back on Sunday. Some of the same players came. I think there was like a 50% carryover, and then some new players. But on Saturday, the very first day, the very first tournament ever in this format that was played, the winner was Thomas Dean, and bringing this lineup, a fairly standard lineup, I think, compared to some of the others we saw. And he's in the green room. We're going to bring him in and ask about his experience. Thomas, welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me. How's it going, everyone?
Hey,
Hey,
thanks.
Thomas.
JDZ,
Nice.
I'm a big fan.
Yo.
Big fan.
Yo, what's up? I got to see you play on Sunday. I didn't get a chance to watch you on Saturday, but I'm a fan.
Oh no, I actually didn't play on Sunday. I didn't play.
Oh, you didn't play? I'm sorry. I saw you play on Saturday, not on Sunday, because I didn't get a chance to fit.
Well, we had to send in Kaylee, so that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Thomas is like, he was getting to play Sunday, and then he won. He's like, I'm hanging it up, undefeated.
Because I saw that turn, and a lot of people speculated it, but it really hits you when it happens. Okay, there was a turn when you go Hades, pop the Mickey, play the giant Mickey, and I was like, oh my goodness, dude, I can't believe the Mad Lad finally did it. I love it, man. I love that so much. But
That's funny.
What was, if you don't mind me asking, I just want to know, Liam, you saw the whole thing. I'm sure you spoke to Thomas at length, but what was your approach to this thing? Were you just trying to have fun, or were you trying to actually win it? Clearly you won, but was that your thoughts going into it?
Yeah. I was trying to win it. I mean, you don't go to a tournament and not try to win it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, but when you're playing Kaiju Mickey, though, I mean, that's not a. Do you believe in that card that much?
Oh, I didn't play Mickey. That was the Sunday guy.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. Let me shut up, dude. Let me get out of here, dude. I'm sleepwalking over here. I need to wake up.
Big fan. I said, oh, I'm gonna have to take that one back. So.
My bad. I'm so sorry. I got it mixed up.
You're good.
I got bad.
That guy winning. He had the great, exciting decks. It threw a lot of people for surprise. So, I was playing standard stuff, so not much to remember there.
Yeah. You're boring me, dude. I need some spice in my life. I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm so sorry. But Liam, take it away. I've embarrassed myself.
No. That's the point of this. Hangout ask questions. It is interesting that you mentioned the like the spicy versus standard list, because I am still working through like my opinions of this format, and not opinion like whether I like it or not. That's a whole other thing. But like what it is, because all day long, what I saw was people with non-standard lists being rewarded by either catching their opponents by surprise, or there's this really interesting dynamic where there's like a 2-deck combo where if you ran green steel as like a bait, it's going to get banned like 90% of the time. Your other deck being like a hyper aggro, especially like an odd hyper aggro variant, gives you the win on the play a good percentage of the time, if not all the time. And so if you do that, trap your opponent into banning green steel, then you win one on hyper aggro, and all I have to do is navigate, the other two matches with your one remaining deck. But all that is to say, people were rewarded most of the day, I thought, by bringing in at least one non-standard list. And then we get to the top 8, and Thomas comes in with like what we know and takes the whole thing with like some standard decks. And so it baffled me all day long. So Thomas, like,
I think
just overall
like
impression.
A lot of people are saying in the chat, one of the biggest things I think a lot of people didn't realize was the die roll really was extremely important, and having decks that could win on the play was also extremely important. That's why I like kind of went with the standard, like some really standard decks. I have the most reps with Red Blue or Ruby Sapphire and Amber Emerald, which are actually both really strong decks to win on the play. Because with the discard on the play, that's one less card you have to discard because they're not going second. They're not getting that draw, right? So it's actually pretty important, and it can win on the play. It's good. Same with Ruby Sapphire. You're ramping. You have B prep. You have insane amount of late game threats. It's very easy to win on the play with that, or on the draw with that deck. So that was kind of like my thought process for picking all my decks, was to have good decks I could play that I have a lot of reps on that could win on the draw.
Okay.
And banning people's decks that can't win or that can only win on the play was extremely important. So like right off the bat, when you dice roll, like my plan instantly changed, like because we get to see their decks, right? And then we dice roll. So you probably get to see their decks for like a minute before you dice roll. So you get like an initial thought plan of what you want to do, and then you dice roll, and depending if you win or lose, your whole plan can completely change. And I see Ed asking how many die rolls I won. And to be honest, I think I lost a majority of them. I know round 1 is the round I lost, and I played Kendall. That one I lost. Then round 2, I think I won because I drew last round 5, so I think I lost 3 of the dice rolls and only won 1. And then in top 8, I was also bottom seed every time. I was fifth seed, so I went on the draw every time as well. So that affected what I banned and what I played. So it's actually really crazy. Round 1 is the one I lost versus Kendall. I saw his list. I wasn't gonna ban his Sapphire Steel, but as soon as I lost the dice roll, I banned that deck because that deck on the draw is like a free win. I'm not giving a free win to anyone. Like, I mean, to be fair, I did lose that, but like, I'd rather lower my chances of just giving away the games, right?
Absolutely, make them work for it at least.
Exactly.
Is the correct play. But I got a question for you. You said something that was interesting. You said that you can kind of look at the decks and determine if it's going to be a good on the play deck or on the draw deck. And I know that the huge benefit of this format is finding the best decks that play on the draw. So not playing, I think Blurple is the best on the draw deck. What are some things that you look at? What are some indicators from your perspective as the champion that you're looking at as a good on the play deck versus a good on the draw deck for players who might not be on that level? Just so you can kind of, in case someone wants to have this kind of tournament in their own rights.
If you ever want to like practice this tournament with friends, or like, if you're ever interested in playing it, like a lot of people, that's what they did, right? They just straight up banned Steel and they're running all aggro. So decks that you can look at the list and see they're very aggressive. You can kind of get their game plan. Like, oh, they're playing 3 aggressive decks. They're instantly banning Steel. They're instantly hoping to win the die roll and just sweeping you out. When you have a chance to see someone's deck, you can easily work out the first 3 turns that possibly they could do from their list. And you want to have good reps into the decks you bring as well, because you want to know, like, okay, so if they open like these 3 turns this certain way, like what's the best thing that you can do with your decks to battle against that, right? And so that's why I'm kind of glad that I had the most reps on those Ruby Sapphire and Amber Emerald, because I believe they were both very, very good decks to be on the draw, and good matchups like overall into all meta decks and not meta decks.
Nice. Good answer. I like that. A lot of people might be watching this and they may not know. Now they might. I think that's
and card knowledge is extremely important. You gotta know all the cards. When you get a full list of some people running 60 plus, but 60 cards, you got to know what you're looking at, what you're reading.
Yeah. Did you play the Racer deck?
I did not play against the Racer deck. No.
That was a
I did watch it on stream after one of my rounds, and it was interesting for sure. I have played against it before, actually, in the last World Class event. They did. I played against it, and I did lose a game to it in a best of 3. I did lose 1 game to it. It can take you by surprise. I will say that. Like the rogue decks,
I don't know. You gotta watch out for them, man.
Expect everything.
Yeah, races out ahead. That was bad. You gotta keep track of the Racer deck.
Hey,
get them ready. Get them ready.
I had to work on it. So you can put the brakes on it. Now, 1 for 3. We'll go with that. No, so God, there's so much to talk about this. So your strategy going in when you were in the deck building phase, it was just straight. I'm going to bring standard stuff I know how to play. I know I've got a deck that can win on the draw.
Yeah.
And then your banning decision was usually based on what?
So a little bit of like, what do I lose to? And so it also depends on the dice roll what my banning decision was. If I'm going on the draw game 1, I wanna ban like their really aggressive deck that can just instant win on the play, right? Whether I think it's a good matchup for me or not, I don't want to just give away a free win.
Right.
And I'm comfortable like playing against most meta decks, whether I'm on the play or the draw. I actually practice on the draw a a lot more than on the play, because I just think it's better practice overall. And yeah, so like you just want to, I don't know, it's hard. You really got to think about all the different variations of like what someone can do on the play with their deck. And the first 3 turns like really matter a lot. So if you can look at someone's deck list, kind of figure out what like a really good first 3 turns for them would look like, and then think in your 3 decks, okay, how do I combat that? Like that's how I decided. And that's why I banned like the Amber Sapphire deck in semifinals.
Right.
I couldn't. If that guy gets the nuts on the play, I can't. I don't think either deck beats that. Like Ruby Sapphire, I could try to rush to B prep or something, or Maui on curve, or like super goof into Maui. But like even then, he's probably already at like 15, 14 lore. Like nothing really seemed good for me. That's why I banned that.
Gotcha. Did you ever
the times?
Did you ever take into account like the player that you were playing against? I don't know if you know the field very well, but sometimes people have tendencies and things that they are looking to do, the spots they're looking to get to. Would you ever say, hey, I know this guy, I know what he's trying to do, I see he's got his pet deck in there, let me get that out of here?
So that's one of the harder things I think it's going to be for the people at Worlds, right? It's like all these people are the best of the best. They're obviously all well known for like maybe one deck, but they're the best of the best. They can play anything. I think the banning and like the mind games of like knowing your opponent and, okay, I know them so well, I know what they're good at. Like, oh, maybe I think I know what they're gonna ban, but then there's the mind game of like they're probably not banning that. Right. But I didn't know most of the people pretty well. I didn't ban Kendall's red purple because like that's what he's used. That's what he's known for, right? I didn't even know that. But, so for the people I did know, I did look at their list and really take that into account, because there was a lot of thinking. I mean, you really never know what they're gonna ban, and that, like it's I don't know. It's just really hard on you. Like in the moment, sitting there looking at all the deck lists, it's kind of threatening. So, kind of just have to go with your gut.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's something I wanted to ask about. Like, it's interesting to hear about your strategy on bans, and that you sort of took an approach where you analyzed all the deck lists, kind of see how they paired up against your deck lists. Did you find your opponents, like, was there any consistent thing that you saw your opponents banning from you? Like, were they kind of doing the same thing, or was it just like pretty standard across the board?
So the first round that I lost, I mean, I'm just going to keep going back to that one because I lost it. And also, that was the only time someone banned my steel deck. Every other game I played, they banned Amber, Emerald, Discard.
See, that's fascinating. That's fascinating.
And that's why I liked having Ruby Sapphire. It's like, that's why I had those 2 decks, like Ruby Sapphire and Amber Emerald, because I both know they can win on the draw. And they can only ban one of them, right? So if I lose the dice roll, I always have one option to play on the draw with a good chance to win. And that I'm like super comfortable on, no matter what deck they're playing. So I think that's very important to take into account. And I think going into this, if you wanted to play in one of these, I think you bring 2 decks that you know you can win on the draw.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Jay-Z.
No, I'm saying, I know that there's not a lot of information out there, because I try to look up and try to find like some meta reports or some numbers and everything like that. But I think they're kind of keeping that information closer to the chest for a time, maybe to try to keep the playing field a little more, balanced or whatever. But you were there. Would just checking that field, just off the top of your mind, looking around the field, did you see a lot of Blurple? Did you see a lot of Ruby Sapphire? Did you see a lot of Amber Steel? Green Steel? What was the vibe there from the room, just that you can share with us here?
So there was definitely a lot of Steel Song for sure. There was a lot of Blurple. I wouldn't say there was too much red purple, but there was a good amount. I definitely think the most banned decks were probably Steel Song and Emerald Steel out of like the whole room. And I wasn't there Sunday, but I'd probably say it was both for both days. It was just kind of the easy way out, I think. And with with it being extremely like straining to think about all the different options, the easiest way out is to ban steel, and I think that's what a lot of people did.
Okay.
I think you're right. Like I think most people's game plan
a
as
lot
they
of
were planning
Amber
for this
Ruby
was like ban steel is my rule, and very few people were, because of the cognitive load, very few people were willing to deviate from that. It was just the rule. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ban steel, and that's what I'm going with. And as a consequence, we saw like very little steel throughout the day. But some did. One of my, I could talk about this player all day, but a player named Christian brought Fun List, brought in Amber Ruby, a list that I absolutely love, bonkers, and then Green Steel, and then Blurple. And his plan was, okay, I'm 90% sure that they're going to ban Green Steel. Like, I've built this list to be banned, and the whole game plan was, I want to play my Blurple deck because it wins on the draw, it wins on the play. It's my favorite deck, and the whole list was built around Blurple not being banned. And the whole day, his Green Steel was banned, and he ran over people with Ruby, Amber, almost a free win. It was so fast without Steel in the field. The round he lost in the semifinals because his opponent banned the aggro list and said, you know what, I'll go into Green Steel. I'm not going to play the aggro list. And Christian loses that round and doesn't make the finals. Was that you?
Shout out to that player. I don't know who it was, but
yeah, was that you?
I respect it. Something I would do.
Right?
Yeah, that was me.
Solid
yeah,
play.
no, 100%. That's how I felt. So all day, I hear, oh, Amber Ruby this. Like, I hate that I forget to mention it because a lot of people were playing it, and a lot of people were just like banning Steel. I'm playing Mufasa. I'm playing Red Yellow, really fast deck with another really fast deck. I ban Steel. Blah. Like, that's it. That's my whole plan. And so like I was hearing a lot of that all day, and it's a deck I know very well and I'm comfortable with. I've tried. I've played it myself. Emerald Steel last set, I got second place with it after like playing it a couple days. It's a really good deck when you draw the nuts. It's a lot harder deck when you don't. So yeah, I felt comfortable not banning it. And he was on the play. So I'm banning aggro on the play. I'm not giving up a free win.
Yeah.
I've heard what the deck does. I saw the list. I know it would have been spicy and a bit tough for me, so I banned it.
And it worked. It was, I just
our last match was spicy. The Amethyst Steel versus Emerald Steel was a very spicy match. He didn't have the nuts, and I got really lucky. And I know how to play against it. Like Pete, obviously, great card against it. So yeah, I stuck with my game plan and I won. It paid off.
Nice. I like when a plan comes together, man.
That's great.
It's great when a plan comes together.
But it was a brilliant match, and like that decision was clearly the right one, and but it went against what like the entire rest of the field did, I think, all day. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, he was really surprised. He was like, "What?
Are you sure?"
Yeah. We had a little bit of banter before the game. Like, we're reading each other's lists, and I'm like, I'm not banning Green Steel. That's what I actually said that. I'm like, I really want to play against it. Like that, I really wanted to play the Amber Emerald versus the Emerald Steel. So that's also what I was kind of hoping for because I like that matchup. It's very.
You like that matchup? That seems to be your worst matchup.
Nah.
You're kidding.
I'd say different.
That's a hot take. I'd like to see that.
It's a fun matchup.
It's fun.
I wouldn't say it's like completely my worst, but it's fun for sure. Like,
what do you think your worst Emerald Amber match is? If you had to call it, who do you not want to see with that deck? It's got to be Green Steel. That's what I don't want to see for sure. Let me look at this thing. Oh yeah, Pete's eating so good. You want to see Green Steel with this?
Yeah, so like it's not bad, right? Like, so a lot of playing cards is like someone's just drawing better, but Um, if your opponent isn't drawing that well, like there's always the chance. And then also with all the ward characters, all it takes is one Under the Sea and like one Kita Under the Sea, and this deck beats any deck, right? So it's the same thing with Emerald Steel. I slam ward guys, I slam Aladdin ward, I slam Prince John ward, I slam Muse ward, Kita Under the Sea, the game's over, right? And we're both discard decks, so we're never like one person is obviously going to have the card advantage really hard, another person isn't. But the way I get around that is if I play ward guys and I draw Kita Under the Sea, or sometimes I just need Under the Sea, the game's over, right? So it's a fun matchup.
It is.
It is a fun matchup.
It turns those like the mini. I like the pseudo games. I like watching that matchup a lot. I like seeing the Diablo wars take place. The Hidden Cove battles are very intriguing to me.
Exactly. Right. We have Painting the Roses Red, right? So we have we both have Cove Diablo. Oh, but I have Painting the Roses Red, right? So it's
fun. I see what you're saying. There's a lot of gamesmanship, a lot of skill expression.
I'm sure there's better yellow-green players out there than me that could tell you that it's actually not a terrible matchup, and they're probably more scared of like Diggy Hole with Pete's, like or like any other aggro deck that's steel related, because Emerald Steel takes a lot longer to win, so it gives us more chances to not. Just straight
Blurple seems quite hard too. I think Blurple.
Yeah. I also have a lot of practice in that matchup. Thanks to my team, we have a very strong Blurple players. Actually, you guys may know one of them, Zero to Hero.
Yeah.
Great Blurple player. I've had some matches against him, so you can let him know. He can let you know how that goes. And then we have another great Blurple player on our team as well. So that one's not bad. Right. Under the Sea, like it's discard. You discard their hand, and what can they do? Like Blurple does have lots of draw, but with yellow you have access to bare necessities. So like they think they're so good with the Finders Keepers until it's not in their hand, right? So it's like it's stripped from their hand. So
okay. So you're saying Amber Emerald best deck set 8? I don't know. You guys heard it here first.
I don't know about that.
You heard it here.
I think it's a very fun and good deck. It's a very fun and good deck.
Clip this, post it.
It's definitely in a good spot. It feels like a lot of the matchups aren't just losable, right? Like you look at the tier 1 decks, right? Like they have a very clear like tier 2 deck that can beat them. I feel like with Amber Emerald, there's more of a fighting chance against everything.
What I like about it is it has the answer for like controlling a lot of decks with the discard, but then it has the Under the Sea as an insurance policy, especially with the Aladdin there, that you can hit it quickly against like hard aggro decks, and so it has an avenue against like multiple archetypes.
Yeah. One of the biggest problems I think with the deck is obviously just you just brick really hard, and it hurts so much when it happens. And this new card, actually Louis does a lot for it. I did see they're mentioning in chat. Louis is really good in any green deck.
I'm surprised that card isn't seeing more play. I think that card is very, very capable.
Yeah.
I think it's
the thing with green though right now is like post rotation or pre rotation, I guess. I'm sorry. Is there's so many good 3 drops in green that it's hard to fit them all. But yeah, that card is great. It should see more play. We should hype it up more, guys. Let me just buy all the foils.
Get your foils now, right? Grab your foils quick. This is don't take advice from us. We are
also Vinny, guys, pick up your foil Vinnies.
Vinny was
you don't
everywhere.
Even need to play 4, but you need a foil Vinny.
Vinny was everywhere yesterday.
Really? That's so exciting, man. I was a big Vinny supporter from the very beginning, and everyone's like, the card's trash, card's cheeks. I don't think the card is buns, man. I think the card's quite good. How's Vinny rocking for you on the tournament? When you win a rare chance you got to play him.
Yeah. So obviously, I'm not playing him every game, and because I'm only running 3 of them, and I'm never like really holding that in my starting hand. I'm always pitching it. So it's great. It's really good when you see it. in certain matchups, it's sometimes extremely dead card. But I don't know. Yeah, like you could argue and say it's like kind of a win more card, but in some matchups where you're fighting for board, like if you play it right and you're just not questing, and they're not playing like purple, they're not playing Elsa, right? They have no way to exert your guys, and you just kind of wait a couple turns. It's worth not questing for like a couple lore if you're going to drop Vinny next turn and then quest your whole board, right? So I think it's a great card, even against like red. I know some people were like, oh, there's so many good red cards that get rid of Vinny, but like if you're playing well and they don't have 100 cards in their hand and their only out is B prep and you have a Vinny on board, you might just win the game from the Vinny itself after B prep, like easily 3, 4, 5 lore. And you know, what purple steel needed was just another alternative way to get lore. That's what they really needed.
Exactly. Oh man, they were struggling for ways to gain lore without questing, dude.
They didn't have enough, so
I know
they gave them another one.
I like that, man. And you can play right into Sisu turns easily, no problem.
That as well.
You can get it because those Ruby Sapphire players, as you know, you play some Ruby Sapphire as well. You get all the way up to 17, 18, and then they could just clear. Not anymore. Right. Vinny, slap them out there, and you're blocking all that stuff. Exactly. Very cool, man. This deck is heat. I'm gonna clip this one. I'm stealing this one.
Yeah, who was shout out to Boba Fett or Boba Set, I forget. I believe he's also a creator. I'm not too well known of him, but he created this deck. I picked it up a little bit before the tournament. I'd say that's not even a week. Played some games on Lorcanito.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Oh my bad. Misspoke.
Local of yours?
Played some games at my local game store.
There you go. Oh, yeah,
my local game store.
That's what I thought you said.
Yeah. We'll cut that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great deck. It's
nice.
The other card in here, which I saw everywhere, like every round, was this Royal Guard or this Palace Guard. Everybody ran him. I saw 3 in the board at points. Like,
I think in the finals I had all 4 on board, or maybe I had
that was you.
Three on board, and then I did some trading, and then I played the 4th. But that card is really good, right? People see Vanish and they get scared of Steel, but when you're playing a deck like this purple Steel list, where all you want to do is get bodies on the board and quests, a 1/4 body is insane. As you saw, I don't know. The guy in the finals, I forget his name, Lorcana Twins. I know he's in here. He quested with Naveen. I had 3 of these on board. They're a 1/4. 3 of them straight into his Naveen, and they live. It's the 1/4 body is insane.
That's a crazy stat. And I probably can wear a crab just as good as the Diablo as well. Just grab him up, dude.
Crab.
Exactly.
Throw a crab on his back and ride out.
Or does he ride the crab?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know how big Merlin is. I guess Merlin can be any size he wants, I guess. But we need a picture of this now. Custom playmat.
The Palace Guard with a crab in his pocket. I don't know.
The crab.
Yeah. I like to think it's like hanging off the sword. You know, they've all got swords. Right. And it's just like Merlin swinging around.
Plus Challenger +3. That's fun. You mentioned Lorcana Twins. They said something earlier that we haven't mentioned yet. There's another deck I was very impressed with whenever we saw it on stream. I'm not going to find the comment. Oh yeah, here it is. Emerald Sapphire was running a few lists, and I watched it do some stupid things. Especially, I saw it into Blurple twice, and the number of like muses, you're welcome, fill your hand, Clarabelle, fill my hand, then bend to my will. Like it was awful. I think I would have quit.
I've had that happen to me a couple of times. I actually didn't play it that much myself, so I didn't mention it. But yeah, I do remember. Yeah, he did have it. We played in the finals. I've played against it before. Last set it was also a rogue deck, same kind of thing, but I got a little bit more new tools. It is scary. We'll say that.
Emerald Sapphire. And for some reason, I'll never understand this, but that deck has like a very positive, like almost cult-like following. when you see it being played.
Yeah.
People are so hyped to
Tell us
see it.
about that, Brandon.
People
You're
are so
so
Brandon B Squared loves the deck, and then whenever it's played, it's like a very hype thing. Oh, he's got the Emerald Sapphire, and it plays some of the most toxic. It plays all of the most toxic.
It is. Every
Literally.
version of the deck is like horrible for the opponent to play against. Like
It's
the
way
worst
worse.
experience ever. It doesn't matter what version of the deck you're playing.
Everyone's so hyped to see it. It's way more toxic than Under the Sea Disco, because it plays Under the Sea, Bend in My Will. It plays Clarabelle, which could be very swingy, toxic, chaotic card, and people love it. I don't get it. Great marketing, good PR team.
Great marketing.
Yeah,
Hire its lobbying firm.
Can't forget about the Peter Pan. The Peter Pan is also
Insane.
kind of
Peter Pan, Ink Geyser, if you want to be a little crazy.
There's so many good cards.
That was the other one I saw. The Muses Peter Pan combo was just so mean. It was just bounce, discard every turn. It's mean.
Mm-hmm.
It's mean. Yeah.
And I don't even think it's optimized yet. I think it's still, because they have so many good cards in those color groups that I don't think anyone's figured out exactly with the ramping aspect, with the Geyser stuff, with the Clarabelle, and the You're Welcome, and Bend in My Will. There's so many cool things you can do with that deck. So maybe someone's going to break it wide open, take it to Worlds. Who knows? But
I don't know.
The deck is
format. You never know.
Yeah,
that's a lot of good colors that you're putting in there.
It'll be the Lorcana twins or Team Infinity, who I feel like is determined to make that deck a thing.
Yeah, I feel like it opens some decent colors for you. Like that's one of the things I find most interesting about the format is I feel like there's one or two decks you really like to stick. Like there's a handful of pairings where like every ink pair that you're playing is kind of a known like good deck. Like Thomas's 3, I think, is a good representation of that. But then sometimes there's like a couple pairings where like if you can make sort of an off color work like Emerald Sapphire, then maybe you get to play two other decks that you want to play, like Amber Steel and Ruby Amethyst, for example. And it's like I'm eager to see if players can find and break some of those off color ink pairings so that they have access to two other decks that they prefer to play anyway.
Right. That could be a strategy, B Square. Is like you send a deck that nobody wants to play against. Like if I see someone, they got a bunch of the nonsense, if we're gonna call it, the Geyser, Under the Sea, Bend in My Will, Clarabelle decks, I might just not want to play against that. I might just ban that off of the rip, dude. I don't know. There could be a technique to that as well.
That's also a choice, yeah.
It's also a choice.
I just don't want to trust your instincts. I don't know, man. I just don't want to sit there and deal with that over and over again. I could be wrong though. I could be way off, but I don't know. Techniques, some of the stuff to think about. Or I'm sure there's that deck does have holes and gaps, and I'm sure people can find ways to exploit that with your natural built-in strategies. But that's a deck that I just hate playing against that deck. I like playing it myself. I don't like playing against it. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like all of the things it's trying to do just feel mean. Like if you banish my genie with a Mana Medusa, fair. Like okay, like that feels okay. If you bounce it to my hand and then make me discard it, like with a Robin Hood, it just feels it feels worse. I don't know why.
That deck can do a lot of bad things. Like if they're running Fishbone Quill and they Ink Geyser you, and then the next turn they bend to your will. It happens. It happens.
Like, who's having fun?
The worst feeling.
And they'll do it all like the worst part of it playing against an Ink Geyser deck is like they'll do a bunch of stuff, Ink Geyser you, and then in that same turn, like ink 2 or 3 or 4 more cards, and then pass the turn, and then you just know like you're cooked because you can't catch up. That
deck can also very easily sing Under the Sea and play Ink Geyser in the same turn, which is or play Under the Sea and Bend in My Will in the same turn, which is that should be illegal. Honestly, that should be against the rule. Honestly,
in like Magic and like Commander circles, there's like this unwritten rule, or it actually might be written down, which is you don't come to a Commander game with land destruction. Like nobody likes that. Don't be that person, Armageddoning and destroying everybody's lands, which are in Magic like your ink. Ink Geyser is like the only version of that right now, and so I feel like it's violating some like unwritten TCG rule. Like, don't mess with the Inkwell.
Let it be, man. Let it be.
Yeah. I mean, at least the worst part about that deck is, right, if you bring it to a tournament, like just know you're locked in for a 35-minute match.
Oh, that is true. That's
Like
something to think
that's the
about
worst
too.
part about it. Or
Great
just
point.
just one game. I'm sorry, not the whole match. Just one
Great
game.
point.
You're
Yeah.
locked in
Great
for at
point.
least 35 minutes, unless they just scoop. But
Yeah, great point. That's a
it's
good.
the hardest
You
part
got to think about that
yeah.
too. Just having your mental faculties are on the table as well. You got to stay mentally present, and just having those long grindy games. That's something to think about as well. Yeah, I'm banning it. Get it out of here. There you go. You heard it here from Thomas. Get rid of Sapphire and Emerald. Boom. Immediately, above all else.
Yeah.
Sorry,
tier list.
Everyone in chat just like
yeah, your community is real. Lords of Lore rolls deep.
We're right deep.
By the way, when Lords of Lore makes a hat, you let us all know. Send us a link to the merch shop. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I believe we do have a bucket hat.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty swaggy.
Piqued my interest.
Bucket hat.
I don't know if that's for everyone, but we do have a bucket hat.
It should be. People haven't caught on yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. So overall, Thomas, just kind of closing thoughts on this format. What are your thoughts on this format overall? And what advice would you give to anybody who, let's say this tournament is run again, or there's a tournament coming up that may be utilizing this format? What advice would you give to people who are going to go into it and play it for the first time?
Let's see. My biggest piece of advice would be to know your decks very well that you're gonna bring, right? Because you're bringing 3 decks. Most people, they practice like one a very lot or 2 at most, right? Not a lot of people are grinding games with three decks, and not only 3 decks, but also not repeating colors. So it's very important to know all 3 of your decks very well. I think that's one of the reasons why I succeeded, is because I knew those colors so well. I knew I had game plans for almost everything. So that's one thing. And then another is, your mental in it, and your mental capacity for playing something like the 3-game format is extremely draining. And I don't know, the only way to really practice for that is to practice like an actual, practice tournament of the 3-game format. The whole banning, mind games, and the dice rolls, and really, learning someone's 3 decks that they're playing in 10 minutes is extremely draining. I'd say if you want to do it, it is fun, but it's extremely, extremely draining. So however you practice that, your mental, you need to have a strong mental.
Gotta be locked in. Drink some coffee. Stay focused. Know your decks. Know your opponent's decks. Be quick on it. I think that's a skill expression too. Just game knowledge in general, and card knowledge, card evaluation, and knowing the quick names of it and the sub names of it. Because they're not giving you guys pictures, right? They're just giving you just the card written down.
Yeah, so they were, I don't know if there's like a specific rule, but some people were flexing with the Dreamborn picture printed out, laminated. If you want to go so fancy like that, I guess you can, but I don't know if they'll be more strict on that. But because I'm assuming like at Worlds, right? I'm assuming at Worlds though, right? Everyone should know every card, so it'd probably just be the line, right? Just
right.
Diablo, Devoted Herald.
Right.
That's it.
That's some gamesmanship right there. That's
if you don't know, you need to know.
You better be studying. That's crazy, man.
Good advice for
no problem. Zero the Hero. If you guys ever need a Ferrari in the Chicagoland area, hit me up.
Let's go.
I'll lend them out.
Noted.
Apparently,
we'll put the link in the chat or in the show notes. Brandon, JDZ, any final questions for Thomas?
Oh, no questions, but thank you. Sorry for the embarrassing segment earlier. I thought I got you mixed up with the other player. I thought it was a 2-day event. I didn't know it was a 1-day things. I thought it was a large. I didn't get a chance to watch the tournament. I saw the Sunday tournament. I assumed that it was the second day of a 2-day event, but now I have to go back and watch your whole tournament run. I was going to plan to watch day 1 anyway, but still, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm excited to see what you got coming up next, and I enjoyed hearing what you had to say about it, and I learned a lot because triple deck format is such a new thing. and hopefully it sticks around and becomes a portion of Lorcana's new thing as we're trying to do. Maybe post rotation sticks around.
But, yeah, I love it. I would be in more tournaments when they're around.
Yeah.
Brandon, any closing comments or questions?
No questions, but yeah, just have to thank Thomas for coming on and sharing his experience with us. It's an interesting format, and it's hard to talk to any Worlds competitors about it because they're trying to keep all the stuff close to their chest. So it's nice to be able to talk to someone that feels like sharing some things.
I mean, if anyone going to Worlds wants to hit me up, I'll share my insight with you guys. I'll share the real juicy details.
I like that.
I know Ed mentioned he was taking notes in the stream interview. So Ed, if you want to hit me up, I'll be your playtesting buddy for sure.
There you go. That's what we do here on Monday nights is make connections. So there we go. Well, Ed, excellent performance. Ton of fun watching you work, and I hope I get to make it out there that way, sometime soon again. And for everybody out in that Midwest area, that was a ton of fun interacting with you all. Like, if you ever have tournaments, want to invite any of us out, any of us three, like, send us a note. We love to keep up with what you have going on. So thanks so much, Thomas. Well, and all of your fan club in the chat.
Yeah. Go team.
Go team. Go team.
Go team.
Ferraris all around. Everyone's getting a Ferrari.
I know.
Man, I like that. I like to just take a picture of a Ferrari. Honestly, I just want to see one.
I'd settle for a Matchbox car.
Hey, me too.
So for anybody looking to connect with Lord, perhaps you're in the Chicago, Midwest area, and you want to get involved with the team or that community, or you just want to connect with Thomas or any of the amazing people in the chat. I'm going to post in the chat right now a link to the Lords of Lore socials. Follow that, and you can connect with the team and keep up with what they're doing. So there you go. Yeah, what a fun segment. That was a treat.
My bad. Okay, it was my fault. I'll take full responsibility. I thought it was a 2-day event. I feel so embarrassed, but we'll drive on. Okay, we'll suck it up and drive on. But now I know. And I had my own theories, and I heard you guys talking about your own theories in the triple deck format. I had my own theories, but just listen to what Thomas had to say there. I might have to change it up a little bit. If you had to play a triple deck format right now, Liam and B Squared, what would you guys take? And my question to you. Start with you, Liam. You're under the bright lights. You're under the spotlight right now. What would you take, and what would be your ban theory going in?
Okay, let me start by saying my theory on this format changed 37 times as I watched it because my opinion changed a bajillion times. I think I like the approach that Christian took. I would take something hyper aggro, which almost has to be banned because it's going to win on the play and lock down that game. I liked Amber Ruby. I'm hyping Christian's list. It was one of my favorite lists I saw all the time there. And that leaves me with Emerald Steel, which is always a good deck to play, and Purple. I think that lineup is the one that impressed me the most. I think that's where, if I had to choose today, I think that's where I would go.
I like that. What about you, B Square? What do you take?
I don't think I can give a solid answer because I've been going through this in my head for weeks now, and without proper testing, I think it's not an easy question because it feels like there's a dozen different strategies that you could take going into it, and it's hard to know. When we look at a DLC, for example, you have the entire pool of ink colors that you have to worry about, and there's a pretty standard global meta. You kind of know what to expect, sort of what to play against, and sort of the game within the game before going into a DLC is figuring out what you think the majority of people are going to bring and whether or not you want to try to counter that, or if you want to try to be the best at that. And there's layers to that, but I feel like that just gets exponentially more complicated in this format because one, there's no data, right? Like realistically, there's no data on what people are trying, what people are bringing, what you can expect from all the Worlds players, because very few people are playing this format. And on top of that, if you're trying to get in the heads of the other Worlds players, there's just this layers on layers on layers game where it's okay, well, the first thing you got to do is figure out what's the most broken strategy to just go in blind. And then once you think you figured that out, you got to think, well, how many other Worlds players have figured that out? And how do I counter that? How do I counter what they're going to do to that? And so I think personally, if it were me, I would just be testing like every ink combination that I could, given certain bands within certain ink colors. I would be scared, or I would be seeing how I wouldn't be scared. I would be seeing what is available to me when I'm able to sort of guarantee play with cards that I haven't been able to play with before. Like, is there stuff that's like really broken that is only not broken because Ruby exists? You know,
Right.
or if I don't ever have to worry about keeping up with Sapphire, can I do, you know, this thing or the other? But there's a lot of stuff that I haven't thought about, because even the stuff that we've talked about today about banning the aggro deck so that you don't just give away a free win. And I really liked Thomas's strategy of like looking at all three decks, and instead of sort of taking an approach to sort of have a blanket ban list across whatever ink and in whichever pairing it is, just looking at the deck lists and analyzing them all and saying, okay, do I think that, you know, my decks can beat the two remaining decks? I think it's so complicated, and personal. Like, I feel for the World's players, because I would want to be playing Lorcana literally 24/7. Like, I would want to be testing everything as much as I could, because I feel like they don't have a lot, you know, enough time to crack this format. Truly,
No way.
like, it's going to be so hard for them to step into this format. And honestly, I think like if it were me, I'd find something that I was super confident and comfortable with. And you probably at some point just have to like pick that, stick to it, and like hope it works out for you. Yeah.
Get the reps. Yeah. That's insane. Yeah, I've been thinking about a lot myself, doing a lot of thought experiments, and I think I agree with you. I think at a certain point you have to just find the best possible deck and just play it. Like, I know that I have mentioned before that if you show up with a traditional lineup, if you show up with Ruby Sapphire, Amber Steel, Emerald Amethyst, that's like the three decks that most people would more likely to be most likely to play, because they have the best results independently. The decks are quite good on the play, on the draw. They have a lot of different ways that you can build them, and they're just quality cards all the way through and through. So I think that would be the decks that I would try to play, and just play them to the best possible capability. However, I feel that that's going to be such an obvious choice, and I think that people are going to metagame around that. I think that's the starting point. Can I beat these three decks with the decks that I bring? Another one outside of the box thought that I would think. So that's either one way that I would go, or I would try to go completely outside of the box and try to capitalize on playing a color combination or a strategy that a lot of people haven't had the opportunity to test up against or to play against, with the auspices that I'm banning something specifically for that match. Just like Thomas said, picking a deck that could be, you know, good against my thing, just getting that out of there and playing a thing like a Sapphire Amber. I think that deck is going to be played, and I think it is going to be a noisemaker in this format, because it has really good cards, but they don't really get a chance to be played because Ruby is so powerful against it, or Steel is so powerful against it. Well, if I'm on the play and I have Amber and Amber, oh my goodness, Sapphire and Amber, I feel like I can beat a lot of people just being on the play and just putting out word characters and quest and heavy. So that kind of stuff, I'm excited to be there as a commentator and watch this thing happen, but I would not want to be in this tournament playing, because it just seems way too stressful. I don't know. It seems so stressful.
Yeah, man, all the World's players in the chat are like, yep. It's gonna be wild, but hey, even making the event's awesome. So again, I could talk about this format all night. Maybe we'll talk about it again next week like this, because it's just, there's so much to dive into. And by the way, every time we go into like the and I go to the, you clearly can't trust the wine in front of you. That whole scene from Princess Bride.
Yes.
So I clearly can't trust the wine in front of me. But okay, so we did have this tournament up in Wisconsin, World Class Cards running this triple deck constructed tournament. A lot of fun to watch, but we also had more Lorcana. Out of the whole population of like Lorcana players across the world, very few will get to participate in a triple deck constructed format, but everyone plays core constructed for the most part. And JDZ, you got to do a tournament this weekend, which I'm really excited to talk about. Before we dive in, I've left it in the green room way too long. We're going to bring in another fantastic player and guest who is at that tournament. Then we're going to get to listen to you two pick apart what happened and look at some deck lists. Really excited to welcome in the winner of this tournament, Kurt Spice.
Let's go.
What's up?
Let's go. It felt like we just met. Are you back at the loft? Are you back at the Lorcana loft right now?
Yeah, to switch.
Yes, hello.
Let's
Thank you
go!
so much for having me at the on the Illuminatiers. I am at the Lorcana Loft as we speak. Yes.
Let's go!
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
I'm gonna
Listen,
make you bigger so I can analyze your game shelf back there.
listen.
Yeah, these aren't my games, and they go farther back than my existence.
Let's
So
go.
there's a lot of history behind me.
Listen, Kurt, it feels like just a couple days ago when we were hanging out. Oh, maybe because it's true. I had the fortunate pleasure of sitting down with Kurt at this event. I was hanging out in that very room in the Lorcana Loft, and I had an interview that I sat down with Kurt Spice to talk to him about his commitment to the game, how he got into the game, how he got into Lorcana before the tournament. And he's had some interesting things. I don't want to spoil too much on the video, but he's like, I got some secrets I want to keep for the World Championship. You took the deck and you won the tournament the next day, Kurt. Talk to us about that, man. Talk to us about that experience of being the only Worlds qualified player in the room and then turn around to compulse that into a victory.
Yeah. I live in Baltimore, and the event was in Savage Mill, Maryland, which is about a 30-minute drive. So that was nice. And then it was also ran by Ink Inc., who is a wonderful team and up-and-coming tournament organizer. And I went to the last one. I was like, well, I know I got to be at the next one for sure. They went from 64 people to 128 people this time. And, it was jam-packed. We were kind of in there like sardines in a can, but ultimately they made it work wonderfully. They had like some fun artists that I got some prints from, like a lot of other stuff going on as well, not just the 5K itself. So, I mean, the event itself was a blast and was a no-brainer to go to for me.
Okay. Yeah, huge shout out to Ink Inc. Huge shout out to Garrick and the Mats and all those guys who came in and put that thing together. Shout out to the venue as well, the Omnihedral Games. I thought it was nice, man. I thought the venue looked very cool. The double floor was an interesting perspective as well. So I had a blast, man. I thought that was nice, and hanging out with you was also quite chill. That was a little icing on the cake, I would say.
Yeah, likewise, man.
I was gonna say, you got to do what SSG did and like buy the real estate next door and just start knocking down walls. And it is interesting. There are certain like tournament series that they start to get on the map as like must go to like locations. You think about Charlie's, you think about SSG. Ink Inc. now I think is on that level of one of those like tournaments that if you're a pro Lorcana player or a serious Lorcana player, you kind of want to check the block and go experience that thing. So yeah, super jealous that you all got to do that this weekend.
It was a lot of fun, and just like I said, just being there and being around the people and being in the vicinity again. There haven't been a lot of we haven't had any DLCs, obviously, but now that this has happened and these things start to take place, I think it's really cool to be out there and kicking it with the community. I think it's super important.
Yeah, super fun.
For sure.
I'm managing chat on the side.
No,
so Kurt, so you did okay at this.
Yeah, so yeah, JDZ asked me a little bit about it, and I just kind of skipped past that. I was like, promote.
No, you're good. No.
So
Selfless.
I played a variant of Diggy Diggy Hole. I played a little Diggy Diggy Ham, as I like to call it. And as you can see on Dreamborn, you can make emojis your deck name now. So that's really cute. And yeah, this was my deck. It was pretty much the exact same deck that I played at North American Continentals. But I took out 14 cards and added 2 more piglets, 4 rhinos, and 4 ladies.
Very nice. I think. All right, so tell me. All right, now you got this deck up here and you won. Tell me all of the secrets you have for the World Tournament, dude. I need everything. I need all the juicy details. Is this one of your decks that you're going to take into the triple deck format?
Maybe not.
Oh.
Wait,
nice.
is my mic not on?
Oh, okay.
Well,
yeah,
that stuff wasn't that important. Yeah, I mean, I just love Amber Steel. It's my favorite deck to play for sure.
Okay.
My bad.
Hey, we got it. Okay. Thank you. What do you say now, Forrest Gump? Very good. Good job.
There's a lot of quotes from that.
No.
She takes a lot of cigarettes.
No, when he unplugs the mic and he's giving like the speech at
Oh yeah, yeah. He could have ended the Vietnam War for sure.
Yeah. But seriously, man, I like the deck a lot. And I like watching you play from the stream. I thought you had great technical play. But one card that I did mention that kind of jumped out to me. We did talk about this as well. This guy Rhino. Okay,
Rhino.
When this card was first revealed, and when this card kind of came out, it was like, okay, this card seems pretty chill, seems pretty cool. But this card is quickly becoming one of the best cards in his entire set, at least in my opinion. It was overperforming for everyone who played Rhino. Can you talk about the Rhino? Talk about the Rhino shift and how critical is that card to you in this strategy now?
Yeah, the Rhino is super sweet. So the one cost Rhino, the 116 Wolf with his tiny howl, that ability is super good and very relevant in the games as you're playing. So it's not just a card that's, I would say, comparable to like, the goons like Robin Hood or the Queen, where you have them on turn 1, but then after that they're just a 2/2. But the Rhino's ability, I think, is worth significantly more than 1 strength. So he's just like an awesome shift target in the first place and just an awesome 1-drop. Maybe not played on his own, but like with the shift target, it's so sweet. And then the big Rhino is just great, for 2 ink or 4 ink. The format is just so heavy on steel that just right off the gate, resist 2 is such a good deal for characters. And in fact, resist off the gate was such a good deal that I decided to just keep on keeping on with the 4 Calhouns as well.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah, Rhino.
Nice.
Rhino is busted. Yeah.
Did you ever get a chance to get the Rhino into the Rapunzel's tower, or did you get the Calhoun into Rapunzel's tower? Even better. Did that ever happen for you in this event?
Oh yeah, everybody here that you see, all these fine folks, they all got invitations to Rapunzel's tower. She went ahead and she did and they all, yeah. So it was a party in the tower for sure all day.
Okay.
Everybody had their chance to see what's what up there.
Okay. Man, this deck is so cool. I like Diggy Hole. I'm surprised it fell out a little bit there.
Brandon and I say this every time. We're always impressed with 2-line deck lists. We get excited when we get to talk about it here. It just fits nicely on a slide and it's super consistent. So you get style points for that.
Yeah. I'm an Amber Steel enjoyer just in general, and also really love fast and aggressive decks. So this is just like right up my alley. It's exactly what I'd love to play.
And several new tools. So this is one of those that I think will always be kind of, if it's not super popular, it'll be on the margins, but it's always going to come back depending on what the meta is doing. And kind of be lurking, at least right now, at least until rotation and we lose the removal and perhaps the Rapunzel.
Man,
sad.
So sad days all around. R.I.P. Rapunzel. We're gonna need her to stick around. I think the card's too good though. I think it's time for her to go. But what's not gonna go is these mines. I think Rapunzel's gone. You guys think she's gonna stay?
I hope she does.
What other draw?
Yeah, what other draw does Amber have?
No other draw.
We need something, please.
I think she's gone.
Kurt, is Rapunzel banned, or is Rapunzel in rotation or not? Do you think?
Either Rapunzel sticks around or Fabled coughs up some sweet Amber draws, because Rapunzel has done a couple things with Amber. One, it is, the Amber card draw in every Amber deck. Has there been an Amber deck without Rapunzel? Yes, there has been. There's been yellow-green discard, but they barred all of Emerald's draw and But if it's like a solid Amber deck, you really need Rapunzel, and they've done a good job of printing good complementary cards with Rapunzel, like Daisy, and some other stuff that has higher willpower. Rapunzel's Tower, or Trigger the Rapunzel, love that one. And then also on the other side of things, it has created this entire play around strategy that you have to now deal with when you're playing against Amber. But that's not unlike playing against Madam Mim Fox and Amethyst, or Maui here at Ruby as well. So yeah, I think that the card is good for the game overall, as far as it kind of adds more skill to the game as far as something to play around. But if people's opinion is that she's annoying to play around, I think that's totally valid as well. And I think that it would be need to be in and out of Amber card draw because they have been leaning on Rapunzel so hard with Amber as a whole. But Fabled is the perfect set to do that. So we'll see what happens.
I think Rapunzel's gone. I think she's gonna probably come back, but I think in the interim, this first rotation,
I think they're bringing out the scissors.
Yeah, she's gone. Yeah, she's
getting cut.
Oh, that could be good. That could be like a Rapunzel. They print another one, and she's got like the fade. She got like the brown hair going on.
That would be amazing. Yeah,
Rapunzel's hair is an item.
I've been saying forever, I want to see a Rapunzel card that is that version of Rapunzel, like with the chopped hair. I just think it'd be fun. Yeah,
we might be accidentally spoiling Fabled as we speak.
In the chat, like, no.
What would be even better is like if somebody gets that card reveal and they like chop a Rapunzel because like the card because she's getting cut, like that Rapunzel's going out and the new one's coming in. I don't know. Ideas, just ideas.
Or they'd have to trim their hair as part of the reveal. If only they were a well-known creator with some longer blonde hair. I can think of a couple off the top of my head.
Thoughts? I get Curse Spies cut it. I'm sure Curse Spies would cut it for the memes one time. No.
Meme.
I think you give it a chop, man. I think you give it a chop. But I like that deck a lot, man. I think Diggy Hole is back. I was on the stream and we were able to see you do a little bit of, I call it Mind Mambo, where you got a couple of dwarfs in there, a couple of mines, and they're just able to just do some little timeshare, just going back to back, punching their card from mine to mine. Can you talk about that setup? Is that something you're trying to do often? And when you get that set up, how do you feel once your opponent's just in shambles as you're just going mine to mine, blasting 4 every turn?
Yeah, I mean, it's free real estate. It's a great time when you have the double dwarf mine going on. They trigger once per turn a piece, so 4 ink is 4 damage, and as long as you have a dwarf to go betwixt, then it's a good time.
Yeah, free real estate.
You can't just casually drop betwixt on us like that.
I know.
You
Words,
which,
I mean, betwixt is a crazy thing to say, though. You can't just throw betwixt in there and just pimp off like that.
Yeah,
okay.
I have.
You have.
I have, and we are.
And we're here. Continuing on.
Mind party. All right, let's show some respect, I think, to the other top 4. JDZ, you sent me some of the other decks that finished in the top 4.
Yes.
Let's run through this real quick for our audience, just to give a shout out to those players. This one intrigued me.
Ooh.
No, I think this one was in the top 8 for sure. I believe this was top 8, and the other 2, I believe they were either top 8 going into the top 4. I know there were 2 teammates that played against each other, but this Illuminator was not on the Ink team. I did get a chance to meet Wonderful playing against this really spicy Ruby Amber deck. The Mufasa deck is back. I think this deck is really cool, and I thought they were very in tune with it, the way they played the deck. It was a masterful execution of a nice, unique strategy that you don't really see that often. I think this deck is cool. A lot of people kind of believe in it, but it kind of falls flat sometimes. But I'd like their build a lot, electing to play the Teeth and Ambitions. You're also playing the Invited to the Ball and the Wreck-It Ralph, the guy in there, another great Mufasa target. You're not all in on the Riot Gaston Pongo combo, which I know that a lot of Ruby Amber players tend to do. You are electing to play the Goofy, which I think is a great fit. I know a lot of people were high on this card when it first got revealed and announced, but it kind of hasn't really done anything. But this is one of the first decks I've seen it, and it can have some good use because you do carry damage so well in this deck. But I like it a lot, and I think this is a deck that I would like to see more in set 8 because I don't think it's going to persist past, because a lot of the cards can get rotated out. But we saw the player play it. He was doing quite well with it. He actually beat Emerald Steel in the to make it into the top cut, and that's typically a matchup that is just going to be devastating for this deck. But they managed to get through that. So
it's fascinating. I got my eyes on that Surfer Stitch in the bottom left. Love to see the set 1 callbacks.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think they have some enchanted ones in the deck too. It looks so good.
Nice.
It looks so good with the enchanted Rayas and the Surfer Stitches, the enchanted Sisus. This deck actually goes high rarity quite nice. It looks quite good.
Yeah, this was absolutely one of my favorite decks to play in set 3. I played it at every single Stitch set champ I played at. And yeah, I didn't quite have like full high rarity, but I did have one D23 Maleficent.
What?
Just for the big flip.
No.
That's crazy.
You don't have it. You don't have it
So
anymore. Is it gone?
Ballsy.
I traded it for another D23 card for the Rockstar Stitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good trade. Good
Yeah.
trade. Good trade.
But
Could take
you
those.
know, but yeah, I was at the time I was playing Maleficent, so I was like, okay, let's get that. Yeah, I loved playing it then, and this is just a lot of the same good stuff that it had back then. It's got like a little Sisu shift line, which I never had access to myself, as well as like Gaston is cool. The Cook is in this deck as well. Goof, Goof, and it's pretty sweet when a lot of your characters enter play with damage. I've also seen Goof cook up some stuff with Prince John. He kind of launders that money right on through the kitchen there. Prince John and Goofy combo. And yeah, so like this combo is just a really fun color combo to play. And then I think I heard y'all talking about how it's like kind of a sleeper pick in the 6 ink format as well. So yeah, I mean, just a fun time to be had for sure with this one.
I like it. And you had that Mulan was just coming in and great numbers, getting some shifts in there, popping a couple of good characters. It's a cool deck. I think it's a deck that I'm for sure going to try when I get to my Amber Ruby time when I start playing. But I like to play a lot of different stuff. I like the Invited to the Ball inclusion, and I also like the Teeth and Ambitions. Those are 2 cards that a lot of people are up in arms about. A lot of people don't tend to play those cards in this deck because they're bad Mufasa flips. But at the end of the day, I think the numbers are on your side, and Invited to the Ball is always going to be like a nice plus value. So I think it's worth it to include.
Yeah, I agree. This is super fun. I'm just looking at some of the lines.
Yeah.
Kurt's on fire tonight, by the way, with the subtle jokes. All right, it's kind of fun. Let's move on. All right, so Ruby Sapphire, you sent this to me, JDZ. This looks pretty like a tight list, and I see that Lilo.
That's why I wanted
in there. What's up here?
And I wanted to give a huge shout out to Ink again. This is Donald. He plays for the Ink team. They were the hosts of
this is Daryl Donaldson.
Daryl Donald. And I know it's your old friend from you guys have been friends for 15 years now, 14 years or so. And he had a lot of nice things to say about you. You had a lot of nice things to say about him, Daryl. And he typically plays Blurple, but he elected to drop that for this tournament because he liked that Lilo card so much. And he said Lilo was actually popping off in this deck. It is very possible to get this Lilo out for free, and you can do some really cool things when you have Lilo and Maui Half Shark together. Lilo and Super Goof together can be interesting. Lilo and even Maui together can be quite nice, man. So I think this deck is quite clean. It does kind of still get blasted by Pete from time to time. I'm sure you guys can agree with that, but I think this deck is cool. I think Daryl is super, super cool. I'm glad I had a chance to meet him in person. We met a lot. We talk a lot online. I cover a couple of his matches online, but getting out there to actually meet him, I think was really, really neat. Unfortunately, he was not playing Blurple. He was playing this, but still, this deck is quite neat. And I think got all the way to the top 4, losing to Kurt twice. I think you're the only person that beat him in this tournament.
Yeah, Daryl had a really sweet Shark deck right here. He was very tech for aggro, and he knew what was up, as Amber Steel was the most played deck for sure. And in fact, he slammed down an Enchanted Lilo. And when I saw the Enchanted Lilo at first, I was like, it's like kind of just the same art as the picture. That Enchanted looks amazing.
It does.
And I just thought the deck was really sweet. Daryl's an awesome dude and a great player as well. And I got pretty fortunate, I think, to beat him twice. In top 4, he did not have a Sail or Tipo on turn 2 in either of our games, and it pretty much spelled disaster for him.
Yeah. Anytime you're not hitting that, like whenever you're watching Ruby Sapphire and they miss that turn 2, you're always like, ugh. It's just you just shake your head.
Yeah, and I was playing like the deck to kind of take advantage of that. It's like, all right, well. Now I'm going to play Lady, and, if I just have a well-timed Pete, I can close it out before things get too messy.
Yeah, it's like smelling blood in the water almost. You're like, oh, okay. That's
okay. So confirmed here, Kurt Spice taking Sapphire and Ruby to the world as well. Nice, confirmed, clean.
Yeah, I gotta get before this list gets out there. I gotta get my enchanted Lilo. For sure.
I want one so bad.
One thing I always, it's a fun side note. One thing I always appreciate. I always wonder when people build their deck list and they choose to put the enchanted versions in there. It's like you ask yourself, like, are they really, or are they just? Is this aspirational?
Oh, they are. No. This is doing them not justice. His entire deck is max rarity as well. I've seen all of it. It's all enchanted. It's all maxed out. The Duhtomas is included. It's insane. Deck's beautiful.
That's awesome, and pricey.
Yeah,
man,
expensive is what it is. Yeah,
for sure. Okay, great list. And last one you sent me, JDZ. This is, you know it, you love it, or you hate it. Ruby Amethyst, but some fun little twists here. I see some new cards and I see some old cards worked in here. What's up with this list?
I wanted to show this deck because Ruby Amethyst just will not go away. Okay, I think it's gonna be there long after when Lorcana's gone and the sun has exploded. Okay, and people have retreated to inside of the Earth's core to sustain themselves. I think people are still going to be playing Ruby Amethyst by Firefly Light or something. But I thought this deck was quite cool because he is using the Hades here, which a lot of people speculated would be a quite playable card. You know, rabbits, anything like that, just going straight for the Hades, and you don't have any of the other bounce because Hades is basically a rabbit bounce all in its own. You also are going to use this Medusa card, which is super good because guess what? You have that Queen of Hearts on 2, Medusa can come in on 3, and people will just walk headlong into a Queen of Hearts Medusa combo. That's going to be something that a lot of people need to look out for, especially coming into the next set chance, because I think it's going to be a devastating little 1-2 punch, along with the shift, the Challenger Ursula on 2, and then you got the shift Ursula Sea Witch Queen on 5. I think that's a pretty powerful play, especially against Ember and Steel, which is probably going to be one of your worst matchups. I thought his deck was really cool, and I thought he was playing quite well up into Daryl. I think they went 1-for-1, but Daryl ended up moving on. But at one point, he had so many cards in hand, and he just didn't get the cards he needed to take over that game. But this is, I think this deck is really nice, and it's going to be maybe the way that Ruby Amethyst can go, because clearly this is what AD's. Sorry.
Ed is quiet in the chat most of the time. When he chats, yeah.
He's got high impact chats.
Yeah,
too.
High impact chats.
But seriously, I think this deck is great, and this is clearly what they want us to play. Liam, Kurt, what do you think about this deck? Did you get a chance to play David?
No, I didn't play against David, but I did talk to him about his deck after the fact. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of cool stuff here. I think Surprise Pile is a fine name for what's going on here. But I mean, look at all the willpower on these characters. Like, this deck does not really care about to let the Storm Rage on, which is really smart, I think, going into the event this past weekend. I'm sure he played against a lot, and I'm sure he did a lot of not caring. So smart on David. And, I really want to shout out, too, he let me know that he kind of copied someone's deck, and it was Peter Sau, who actually also made top 16 at the same event with the exact same list. And I was like, okay, somebody copied somebody's homework here, and it was Peter Sau that, in fact, did the cooking on this one.
Oh, okay.
So shout out to him as well. And shout out to David for piling it so well.
I like that.
I like that. It is interesting. Like somebody creates a deck, and then like in a few weeks, like you lose sight of who actually was the author. But there's like some telltale signs. The one card in here that I love that like popping back in from set 4 is this Ursula. That's the one I had to be like, hey, I know that card. And then I don't. This is just funny tangents. The only reason I mentioned that is there's a list in the tournament that we went and looked at that was running. It was Thomas's list that ran the Aladdin, the 2-drop Aladdin, and you look at that and you're like, I'm willing to bet that was Zach Bivens inspired from. But yeah, it is always fun to, it is always important to shout out those who made this list. So yeah, that Ursula was a fun inclusion here. Everything else I saw run around up at World Class Cards as well, all these other new cards, but the Ursula was a fun little ad.
Fun little ad. Yeah. I think that card. I've seen that card. What it can do, it can sometimes take over a game. Questing for 3 is no joke. Her stat line is quite impressive. The effect to be able to exert other characters, I think, it comes up quite often. Exerted Ursula, bring down a Maui, take down something that they were trying to hide off in the cut. I think that's a interesting technique, man.
Well, I was talking about the baby Ursula.
The small one. Oh, the challenger one. Yeah.
Oh, totally makes sense. I mean, you want the shift target.
Mm-hmm.
So it has a neat effect. Early game gives you a little bit of offensive power, but then the shift target for the big Ursula, which takes you by surprise, is a ton of fun.
Yeah, and it ends up being like together a nasty combo as far as this is a character that can challenge for 3. So unless you have a 3 strength of Raging Fire or something bigger, then it's going to stick around for at least one song through. And then you can also follow her up with the Medusa on 3 as well, and she can eat the 2 damage, stick around. And then just like threatening that shift, it's like a really nice combo in here that didn't really quite work because steals and songs were never that good in the format, or at least when they were, there was always some kind of bigger problem. Like Emerald was really difficult to deal with, something like that. So it was like, it's the tech's been around forever, but here we are seeing it for really the first time.
Well, the first time in forever, what'd you say?
First time in yeah. I love somebody needs to do a good video. JDZ, you probably have the time for this, like on the evolution of this deck. Because you think back to Ruby Amethyst set 1, and it's like it's Ursula's Cauldron on turn 1 and just like miserable 40-minute games of just trying to get to Maleficent and hate it. But then it changes. It's always around, but every set it changes its identity just a little bit, becoming aggressive. You had Flynn Riders, for a while, and it's really really fun to watch Ruby Amethyst players constantly adapt this and change it from set to set, because it is not the same deck as it was even 3 sets ago.
I agree, and it's fascinating how this works. It's not even just this deck, but all the decks in this game. It's very important that, especially pre-rotation, and I'm sure the Worlds players are doing this, but you have to go back, and every time a new set comes out, or new cards come out, or a new strategy become popular, you have to go back and reassess every single possible card and just see, hey, is this good now? Because just like Kurt said, in a certain context, if a card might be quite playable, but it just didn't have the time. The timing was off because of X, Y, and Z. But now things have changed. Hiram gets banned, or another deck comes out that just completely nerfs another strategy. You have to dip back in, because I guarantee you, people see Ursula coming down, and that card's probably getting read all day long. People have probably never seen that card before in their life because it just didn't add up. But I think it's great. I think it's a great aspect of this game. We are going to lose a bit of that with rotation, but I think even when that does happen, you better believe the better players are going to be into the set 5 cards, all the cards that might just be terrible, and you have to dig into them and now and reassess those cards again under a new perspective. That's why I love this game.
Yeah. I'm just thinking back, talking about Prince Ali back in set 1 was like, you just wait, my time will come. It may take 2 years, but
look at me now.
I will be in a meta report. It's coming one day.
Look at me now.
Well, those are some. Thanks for those. Those are some fun decks to highlight. Kurt, I mean, congrats on crushing people with Diggy Diggy Hole. What I know it's always tough when you have like Worlds players on here, or even those that are like helping Worlds players prep, like their teammates and stuff. Because I know like we don't want to give away too many secrets or thoughts, but if I were to ask you your thoughts on the current meta and where you see it going, what would you say? It's a broad question, a big question.
Yeah, that's kind of tough. Because it's, the core format and the Worlds formats are definitely different, but at the same time, they're kind of interlocked in the sense that as soon as something sweet comes out that we didn't really know, all of a sudden, maybe that's another possibility for a Worlds deck. And, maybe a deck makes top 16 and it's not the perfect deck for core constructed, but it does slot nicely into this little color combo that works out for Worlds. So it's really, really fun, being a part of that and being part of the process of planning and testing for Worlds. There's the Super Sealed as well. you know, which is just totally new. There's no constructed part of that except for the hour you get to build your deck with the cards you open in the packs. So, you know, you can try to take a little bit of tips from Core Constructed, but honestly, you're just kind of in a whole new not a ball
World?
game. That's not
World.
a
You can
Disneyland.
say
A whole new
world.
world. What am I going?
There.
Yeah, I almost said a whole
That's
new
right.
ball game. Whoops.
It was right there. It was right there. You
Wrong
almost
game.
you almost fumbled the bag, man. It was right there.
Well, that was baseball. I don't think there's fumbling in baseball.
You nailed it though.
But
You nailed it.
anywho, yeah, I think that I mean, it's really fun to play. I didn't feel too pressured to, you know, I was pretty much just playing the same deck I've been playing, you know, so I didn't feel too pressured to not play or anything like that, which was fun. I'm glad I was able to be a part of the event. Things went really my way, and it was also just a lot of good practice too. I mean, I've been basically jamming cards on a computer for most of the time. It's been like a office job, you know, Lorcana edition. In a sense, testing for Worlds, just because there's so many different facets to all the formats. So we're constantly doing analysis of different things. And that, you know, sometimes we're doing spreadsheets and stuff like that. And we're really not even shuffling up that much cardboard in the meantime. So actually getting to be in an event and do that was, you know, probably the best rep I'll get before Worlds.
For sure. Now you said something interesting, and again, I'm trying to get as much information. So please raise your defenses, okay?
I feel the extraction.
Okay, I'm trying to extract from you. Let me extract from you if I can. No, but seriously, you knew that you know who you are, and you knew you're going to be on stream. At this point, you were a Worlds qualified player. Was there any thought process going into this tournament, like, hey, I'm exposing some things maybe because people are going to be watching that? Was that one of the reasons why you loaded the deck that you did, because it's a known entity and you're trying to reserve some of your actual secrets going to the tournament? Is that what you're saying here? Don't plead the fifth.
I thought that was a sarcastic extraction, but that was a full-fledged.
Are you pleading the fifth? Are you pleading the fifth? Plead the fifth.
It's not a court of law, but it's a court of lore, I would say. I will invoke such a clause.
I love it. That's so good. The court of lore. Did you just come up with that? This is a routine. We worked on this. Okay, this is
this is all the work.
We talked about this all weekend.
We're watching right here. This is all the work.
Yeah, we shop this over. So this is the plan. I'm kidding. Court of lore is really good. No, seriously. Sorry. Give us some secrets, man. Tell us the juice, man. We want to know.
What the heck?
I'm kidding.
You're gonna be there.
Just
find out. Just find out with them.
Okay, you're right.
You know, but the preparation for Worlds has been a lot of fun. I think that you all had touched on the stress of preparing for Worlds, and for me, honestly, it's been a blast. Even though I have been using a lot of Computron cards, you know, it's been really fun exploring the new formats. I think that if they were going to utilize these new formats in addition to Core Constructed for some larger events, then boy, what a good testing ground is the World Championship, where all the best players are going to be able to, you know, put on their thinking caps and think about the formats and deliver the best results. And I think, you know, I mean, for me, it's been a lot of fun playtesting. I don't feel stressed about it at all.
Nice. Okay.
Dang, that was smooth. Yeah, chat. Everybody's on fire tonight. I think one more question for you before I ask Brandon. Any questions?
None for me. We've covered a lot of ground from Kurt. It's like I mentioned before. It's hard to. I don't want to extract anything or ask anything, share any secrets from a Worlds competitor. It's been great to talk, though.
So I agree, and I honestly, I could talk all night with you know, our guests, but we do need to wrap shortly. But my question is, it's not an extraction. I don't think. Maybe it is. I don't know. But we have a lot of people who are going to be watching the stream. And I always think it's fun when you're watching a show to know something about the players, to understand who they are, rather than just seeing names. So if somebody's watching the stream and they're not familiar with you, or perhaps they're watching this on a delay, you know, who is Kurt Spice? Tell us something about you, your story, and how you ended up from wherever you started to the World Championship in Lorcana. What's your story?
Yeah, I mean, it started with Pocket Monsters when Pokemon really hit the scene big in the US in 1999 is when the TCG came out. I was 6 years old, and my sister got me a starter deck and a couple packs, and I just started, reading the instructions, learn how to play. Got to school, no one knew how to play, but started to go to events and stuff like that, and just have been playing cards pretty much my whole life. And yeah, I think my approach for Lorcana, being that I kind of started from the very beginning, even started before the beginning, was to like build the community, because that community needed to be built. And I think that the reason why I qualified for the World Championship was because I was able to invoke a little bit of Will of the D with Luffy and just assemble an awesome crew. Like, I think that's what it's really all about. I think that the people that I work with, and, not just the friends I've made, but honestly, just like the ideas that I've been willing to share and explore and talk to with people, have what ultimately, gotten me to the big showdown at the end of the day. And it's been really fun too, working with Team World Class Cards. So we've got two players going into Worlds, but interestingly enough, I don't know that that's all we're going to be sending to Worlds. I think it might be a little bit of World Class Cards, Outsider, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash. Maybe there's a third man. So I think that's going to be something fun to tune in to see as well. Because not only is my crew just like all my local people and everything like that, but my professional crew is getting a little deeper as well right before the event.
No leaks. Extraction mode activate. Okay. Did we just announce that World Class Cards got another hitman in there? Is that what you're saying? But don't leak.
I said maybe. Yeah, I said maybe. Mm-hmm.
Potentially.
I could see it.
I can see it for sure, man. I think it's very important. I think World Class Cards is a great Lorcana organization, and Kurt Spice is going to be there. Make some noise. I mean, you had one shot at it, one DLC trip to get this thing done, one national championship to get this thing done, and maybe one world trip to get it done. 3 tournaments for the best of all. I think that could be poetic.
Yeah, I want to make so many like puns and references, but I can't. I got to leave it there because this is I'm excited.
You gotta let them fire, man.
I'm excited. It's gonna be a cool announcement. Okay, Kurt, thanks so much for joining us. I said that was my last question. I lied. How can people who are watching follow you, what you're doing, and your journey to the World Championship?
Yeah, check out Team World Class Cards. We've been trying to get more things together as far as like putting out all of our individual results as we're kind of in this, waiting for the next phase of competitive season setup we got here. So a lot of our team members are traveling out to independent events and also just trying to promote them as much as you can, because that's ultimately what's keeping the scene alive.
I totally agree. I can't say enough about, and I said this in streams weekend, I can't say enough about what organizations like SSG and Charlie's and World Class Cards and Ink Inc. and these tournament organizers do to keep the competitive community thriving between big official events. So I think that's a great shout out, because without it, what would we be doing right now?
We wouldn't have a reason for me to be on here, besides for Worlds, but like, I got to play in an independent tournament, and it, luckily went really well for me. And it's just like a great promotion of the game in general for everybody. So yeah,
you just be like crushing Jafar over and over again, and
And the Palace heist, you're not heisting. Kurt's not heisting, are you?
Not yet.
Okay, we'll get it going.
Sounds like a good, definitely.
It's a good time.
Well, Kurt, thanks so much. Can't wait to see, follow your prep as much as we can for the World Championship, and to see you down there, in Florida with the rest of your team, however many they may be competing with you. It's going to be a great time, and congrats again on an excellent performance this weekend.
Yeah, thanks a bunch. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We will do it again after you win. Let's go with that.
Easy peasy.
All right. Take it easy.
All right.
Oh my goodness, what fantastic What a
I was trying to extract. Let me tell you something about these Worlds players. They are giving you nothing, Liam.
I know.
It's like you better have the pliers out and you better be ready to pull some teeth because that's there. I love that. I love the gamesmanship and they're cagey, but it's rightfully so because this tournament is very important and your information, if anything leaks, you could blow your entire run, man. So I appreciate him coming by and saying what he did, but I love the caginess from these players.
I agree. Ed Chu's in the chat every week with a notepad. I know Mo Shamlin's oftentimes here with a notepad. So, yeah,
just listening,
just teasing. The players come in, they just tease a little bit.
They can't say anything. I plead the fifth. Nope.
Yeah,
the court of lore, dude. Very good.
Court of lore. If so, everybody watching, like if that reference appears during the world class streams, where it came from. And we owe Kurt Spice, a nickel.
Full credits.
Yep. Trademark. Anyway. Well, what a fun show. JDZ, thanks for hanging out with us this whole time. Zach Bivens in the chat. Write that down. Maybe they're all together on like a group chat. There's probably like a World's competitor like secret Discord server that we don't know about.
It might be, but I guarantee it's probably going to be the weirdest, most quiet Discord you've ever seen. Like, hey, so what are you guys going to play?
Every day, somebody's like, so what y'all doing?
Yeah, I can't imagine anybody's giving away secrets.
No chance. Oh man, no chance because it's just every game, like literally every match matters for an increased prize. So even if you can get 2 wins, it's better than like I don't know. They all matter.
Yeah. All right. I want to stay here all night chatting with all of you and hanging out with the live chat, but we're going on 2 hours, and I'm fading quickly from my night on the airport floor. So before I turn it over to Brandon JDZ to kind of close us out, just a few admin notes. Hey, thanks so much for joining us here on Monday night. Everyone who's stuck with us through the whole chat, the 159 people on X, the 46 people on YouTube, and the 36 people on Twitch, and then nobody on Facebook because there's nobody on Facebook. Occasionally somebody pops onto Facebook and we're like, hey, come on over to
something else,
a better platform. But nevertheless, we are live on Facebook. But we're here every Monday night. We'll see you here next Monday at 8 p.m. For another fantastic stream. Hopefully some awesome guests. I've got some people I want to invite. So stay tuned. We're getting closer and closer to Worlds. So last little bit of time to learn what we can about our Worlds competitors. If you like the show, shout out. You can always follow for free or support us on Patreon. Because it costs money. So for all these software subscriptions and all that. So thanks to our Patreon supporters for making it happen. There's a few of you in the chat tonight, and we really appreciate it. And we also have the Discord server where we, before the show, you can ask questions, you can hang out. After the show, you can ask questions of our guests, all that stuff. So check out our Discord server if you haven't. And of course, as I'm obligated to say, we appreciate follows and likes and subscribes and the things that you do on whatever platform you happen to be on. Do them on all of them. It's fun. All right. Well, a couple weeks to Worlds, and we will all be there, gentlemen. What are your closing thoughts tonight as we get into our last couple weeks of prep?
Whew. I'll let you take it. B square. Brandon.
I think the World's Class Card Tournament showed us we have a lot of interesting stuff to look forward to, and it could change very much from what we saw there. There's a lot of things to think about. Obviously, these players are they're in the think tank and they're going through all of the testing that they can, I can imagine. And so I'm just eager to see what happens when you throw 28 of the best players in the world in a room and give them this challenge.
Same. I think I'm me personally, I know you guys are doing as well, but just the preparation on our end as I'm trying to learn all these cards and relearn all the cards that I've forgotten and learn all the new cards, just because I know you guys can probably caveat this as well or feel the same way, but I want to make sure that this show is a rememberable, remarkable show. I'm under a lot of pressure, all of us, because we got to give our all to the community. I think they deserve so much. And I want to make sure that I'm doing my very best as a broadcaster, as a commentator, as someone who's a fan of the game, to just make sure that we're telling the best story that we possibly can, and giving the honor and prestige that these players that are going to be in attendance deserve, man. So a lot of pressure for us as well, but not nearly as much as these players have to go through. This thing is too much. I think it's very difficult, and I don't envy that position at all. But I'm excited. I'm ready. I'm laser focused, locked in, and motivated, ready to do this. And I'm sure you guys are going to be ready as well.
I agree. Last note, how you can follow our guests will be in the show notes after this if you want to follow any of them. We appreciate you all being here. And with that, it's how we sign off our shows the last few weeks.